Hey everybody, welcome back to the 50/50 Showcase. It's me, your host with the most level 50 characters on the Excelsior Shard of the City of Heroes Homecoming server. I don't know if any of that's true, other than the fact that I am playing on the Excelsior server. This is episode 29. This is Janus. He's my fourth Dominator out of 5, my 29th character out of 50. He is Dark Control. He is Energy Assault, and he is Soul Mastery Dominator. The name of the game for him, his theme, his concept is stun stacking, melee mashing. So let's take a look at the mids build so you can see what it is I'm talking about. What do I mean by that? Well, you can see I have taken Dark Control and I have almost all the powers with the exception of the single target Confusion here. Possessed, I don't really feel like I need that, so I didn't take it. And then I've got Energy Salt over here, and if you take a look, this is the first time that I have skipped multiple powers in a power set. Usually I'm taking 7, 8, or 9 for 9 of the powers from a set. But in this scenario, I did not take 4 different of these attacks from the energy salt. And if you look, they are blasts, single target range stuff. Power push, power blast, sniper blast, power burst. Instead, I focused mainly on the melee stuff. Bone Smasher, Whirling Hands, and Total Focus. And instead of taking all these powers, I ended up taking a whole bunch of stuff from maybe a couple of strange power sets. Fighting Pool, I'm sure you've taken Fighting Pool on plenty of your own characters, but I have sunk 3 of my picks here. And take a look, I've got Boxing and Cross Punch. So that gives me a couple more punches, kind of fitting in with that whole melee heavy theme. And then I once again dipped heavily, and this is the only second time I've done this, into the presence pool. I did this with Charm, my one corruptor who was what was she? I think she was Psy Blast Pain Domination, if I'm not mistaken. So I took a few powers here from the presence pool. Now, why am I doing this weird build? What's going on? This doesn't make any sense. You didn't even take Dark Obliteration from Soul Mastery. You know, what is your problem? Why did you do that? This makes no sense. I'm sure that is what you're thinking. That's probably what I would think too if I saw this build. But there is method to the madness. There is a reason for all of this kind of goofy, crazy concepts here. So let's take a look at what it was I was attempting to do. And then, of course, we'll go ahead and actually run submissions to see if my ideas are even, logical at all. Anyway, here you go. So the other angle on this build, aside from the melee stuff, is I was going for stun stacking. So stunning will explain to you my kind of goofy, crazy power choices. So the first things first is that from Dark Control, Heart of Darkness, that is your main stunning power. This is a PB AoE, so player-based area of effect. It's you run in and you click and you detonate this dark explosion, which disorients foes, stuns them, deals some minus to hit, and a little bit of minor damage over time. But if you take a look at the numbers on this thing, it's actually pretty sick. If you take a look, I have a recharge of 24 seconds, so less than 30 seconds. This thing is recharging, and it's then going to stun and have a duration of over 45 seconds of stun. That would, of course, be against an even level. I believe minion is what these numbers are based on. Now, hey, how come it's so fast recharging? Well, guess what? It's a Dominator. It's a Perma Dominator. I am going for Perma Domination, so I have lots of recharge in my set bonuses, as you'll see as we go through some of these things. But the long and short of it is this: high recharge, high mag stun, and long duration. And this is not even with Domination. If I click my Domination button, you will see, check this out, with Domination activated, this stun is going to last for over a minute. Come on. and the magnitude is going to be higher as well because of the domination effect. So this thing is going to not only lower the to hit, not only hit a double mag boom boom stun, but the duration on even level, even targeted cons that I'm fighting, over a minute of stuns. So even against, plus fours, you're probably looking at 20 seconds or so, and so if you count just 20 seconds in your head, you can, see exactly how long that is going to be, giving me the time to just beat down whatever. So Heart of Darkness is a great power out of the box, and then once you slot it on a permadom like this, forget it, it's huge. Now, hey, that's not my only stun, duh. That would be sort of silly. I want to stack stuns, so that's why I went with Energy Salt and why I focused on the melee stuff, because Bone Smasher, Whirling Hands, and Total Focus will all of them are going to have a chance to disorient. So all three of those can stun on top of Heart of Darkness. So Heart of Darkness, and then these three punches right here from Energy Salt. And then this also helps you see why I went into the fighting pool. Not necessarily for Tough and Weave. I did take Tough, but Boxing and Cross Punch, both of those also have a chance to stun. So here you go, Boxing, stun, Cross Punch, stun. So there's a couple more. So I've got 5 punches that can do some stunning. And then if you start looking at my power choices, namely take a look at the slotting, you'll see there's some weird sets in here. Not necessarily the sets, but some weird individual choices. So look at this here in Living Shadows. Okay, Living Shadows, which is the AoE cone immobilize. And I also, by the way, took Shadowy Binds, which is a single target immobilize. And if you've heard me talk about my other Dominators, I usually tell you don't take the immobilizes. Maybe you take the cone one because you're going to proc it out with a bunch of damage, which is what I did. But the bigger reason I took these two, and also this will help you understand, hey, I didn't take those single target blasts. Well, I do have a single target quote blast and shadowy binds. It's not slotted for damage, of course. I do have another ranged AoE cone and living shadows, so it's not so bad that I skipped as many of my ranged attacks in assault. You'll notice I really didn't slot them necessarily for damage. What I did slot before is actually hiding right here. Debilitative Action. This is a stun proc. It's one of the immobilized sets, and it can deliver a stun. I forget what the mag is on this. I don't think it's very high, of course, but it is a chance to throw out a stun. So if I'm reading this correctly, it's saying an 8-second stun, mag 2, to mobs. So that means I think lieutenants and minions can be stunned for a few seconds if this procs. It's not a super frequent one, but it's a cone, so you're probably going to stun somebody just by virtue of hitting so many targets. I have the same debilitative action proc sitting down here in this single target stun. So right here I've got a couple of stun procs in my two mobilizes. But wait, there's more. I have Fearsome Stare, which is your ranged cone fear. It also has a minus to hit effect on it. So you'll notice I'm also going to be stacking a bunch of minus to hits here with Dark Control plus some of the other stuff I'm going to be throwing out there. But look here, I've got another stun proc. This is the Unspeakable Terror Disorient bonus. This is another mag 2, 8 seconds, 3 ppms, so procs per minute, stun. Okay, so I've got another power with another stun, and these are just controls that I'm going to be throwing out, every fight anyway. So not only do I have them heavily slotted for control in the case of Fearsome Stare, and Living Shadows, I've got it damaged proc once, twice, 3 times a lady. I've got that getting thrown out a bunch. I also have the stun proc is in that one. And then there's Heart of Darkness, which I already showed you. So there's my main control stun. And then I also have Haunt, which has a fear ability. And look who's hiding in there. Another Unspeakable Terror Disorient bonus. So my little Haunts, my little 2 pet dudes that I throw out there, they also can stun. And guess who else has a stun proc? Umber Beast, because Umber Beast also can have fear with one of it. I think it's one of its attacks has the fear effect. So that also can get an unspeakable terror. Another stun proc. But wait, there's still even more. Let's keep going. Hey, why did you take the presence pool? Well, it gives me provoke, which is a taunt. It gives me intimidate, which is a fear. And guess who's hiding here? Intimidate has a fear proc, another one of the unspeakable terrors. Well, why did you take provoke? Why would you take a taunt? Are you stupid? Well, look at this triumphant insult. It also has a stun proc, right? There's another stun proc. And then I also took Dark Consumption from Soul Mastery, which I slotted mostly for damage. But I also snuck in an Energy Manipulator, and yep, you guessed it, chance to stun again. So if you add all of this stuff up, right, I've got Heart of Darkness, there's a big stun right there. That's one. I've got Bone Smasher, stun, two. Whirling Hand, stun, three. Total Focus, stun, four. Then we've got Living Shadows with a stun proc, 5. We've got Fearsome Stare with stun proc, 6. Shadowy Binds with a stun proc, 7. We've taken, where did it go? Haunt, 8. Umber Beast, 9. Dark Consumption, 10. Provoke, 11. Intimidate, 12. I've got 12 ways to stun you with my controls and my energy assaults and some of these pool powers, and and I took the incarnate pyronic, the radial side, which also has a chance for a stun. So I have 13 powers that can either stun directly or proc a stun in this character. This character can stun so much that I can stand toe to toe with AVs and pound on them and watch them get stunned through the purple triangles of doom. True story. Okay. Of course, you're not going to last very long unless you have like a tank or a brute standing next to you to keep their aggro off you. But you can stand right into that melee battle and just start delivering the goods and stun, big, heavy hitting elite bosses, arch villains, and hero grade enemies with all the stunts that you can just throw out here. It's sick. On top of all that, I've got Permadom, right? I've got enough of the recharge in the various sets like Basilisk Gaze, Decimation's got some recharge. You've got Glimpse of Abyss, the Ascendancy, the Dominator set. The Crushing Impacts have some recharge. Obliteration's got recharge. I've got a Luck of the Gambler. I've picked Hasten here. I've got the Expedient Reinforcement has some recharge. So I've got recharges slotted all over the place in this build. And so you add it all together, you're looking at a Permadom stun stacking melee mashing monster who has decent survivability in the form of smash lethal resistance that I've got from Tough combined with Dark Embrace from the Soul Mastery. So here you are, you're looking at this is your primary, resistance, damage resistance. The Incarnates can help a little bit more with that because I did take the melee radial embodiment because I will be in melee range a lot. So this is the one, if you stand in melee, you essentially proc plus defense to yourself, plus regen to yourself for every enemy you're standing adjacent to. And I forget what the cap is on it. It's like 8 enemies or something like that. So you stack a few percent for each one. I've also got Ageless to give me a pop of recharge plus endurance and debuff resistance. So if you look at my recharge right now is 172 with just Hasten. If I hit Ageless, that's going to kick up to 242. So I've got Permadom and some cushion here, even without Ageless. Then I've got Paralytic. This is the only one I'm a little bit second guessing myself because it has minus defense, minus damage as a way to help keep myself safe because the minus damage can pair up pretty nicely with damage resistance. So you're resisting a bunch of damage, you're decreasing the incoming damage. The only thing I'm second guessing myself is I could have went with the minus to hit proccing interface, which would have teamed up nicely with some of my dark controls. but I went this way probably also because I was thinking of the minus defense being useful because I don't have any way to plus, attack. I don't have aim or something like that. I do have power up, which is a boost to damage and my special effects, my controls, and that sort of thing. But I don't have, like plus to hit. I think domination might give you a little bit of that when you click it, but again, that's which is it's going to be up. Don't get me wrong, but it's not built to just be a plus to hit or something like that. But anyway, so I do have that. Other than that, I've got the Resilient Alpha, which boosts my damage resistance, boosts my taunt, boosts my immobilize, boosts my stun. You knew that was coming. And I don't think I'm really benefiting too much from the to hit buffs and the absorb stuff. Maybe I'm getting a little bit of that somewhere, but I can't. I'm trying to think if when I click domination, does that give me plus to hit? I always forget if it does or it doesn't. Let me just double check what it says. You're gonna last 50% longer. Additionally, you'll fully recharge your thing. You activate its power. You control powers last longer. Dominate more. Oh, it's a damage boost. So anyway, this resilient would boost to hit effects, but I don't have any like plus to hit. I didn't take leadership or something like that. So there you go. That is what my stuff is looking like right here. I don't think I missed anything that I wanted to mention, so I believe that's going to take us then to the end of our vid. The only other thing I would mention is, yeah, there is a couple pets, so that's the other side note about Dark Control. If you saw my video with Caliban, my Dark Controller with Dark Control, you've already seen this pet before, but this pet is decent control. It's got some decent damage. It is annoying because it's constantly howling behind you, but you gotta watch it because it will, launch ranged attack. I think it's an immobilize that it spews out. I think it has like living shadows. And then the haunts are targeted little ghost pets that charge out and attack. So I do have the damage soaking from these three pets once have them all in play at the same time. Haunt is, let's see what the recharge on Haunt, just to kind of bring that up here. Info. The recharge on Haunt is 52 seconds, and their duration is not listed here. Why aren't you listed there? Effects, is it here? Na, 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 na. Should be somewhere, right? Haunt. I'm guessing they must last at least 30 seconds, right? I don't know. I don't see it here in the information on them. So let's assume it's about 30 seconds. There's a click. The shades are here. 10 seconds. I thought it was longer than 10 seconds. Huh. Oh, wait, that's the minus to hit. Yeah, the shades themselves are out longer than 10 seconds. I think it's just when they hit somebody, or maybe when they're summoned next to somebody, maybe they get the minus to hit for a little bit, 10 seconds. I don't know exactly what that means, to be honest with you. Anyway, and I wasn't even showing you those little pop-ups anyway, so it doesn't really matter. No, I've got Haunts and I've got Umber Beasts, and they're going to attack, and they're going to do damage, and they're going to minus to hits. And they've got other weird types of powers. All right, let's end this build video with that. Stun stacking, melee mashing, some minus to hit, some pets. You'll have to see it in action, right? All right, let me catch you guys in the solo.